Coming up in the news, a massive upgrade to the Rand Memorial Hospital outlined in the Minister of Health's budget communication. Also, it's the break the tourism sector has been waiting on. The arrival of the Adventure of the Seas just 1 day away. And a local environmentalist sharing his views on Equinor's cleanup to date. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
I'm Shashina Rolf-Arkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news tonight, Minister of Health, the Honorable Ranwood Wells, making his contribution to the 2021-2022 budget debate, outlining features of that massive upgrade to the Rand Memorial Hospital. He says some $18 million have been invested in a major redevelopment and restoration effort at the Grand Bahama Healthcare Facility to date. Megan Shepard has our top story.
Minister of Health, the Honorable Ranwood Wells, noting that more than 75% of the Rand Memorial Hospital sustained significant damage during the passage of Hurricane Dorian. Since then, some $18 million have been invested in a major redevelopment and restoration effort.
Mr. Speaker, the newly commissioned spaces included the complete renovation of the front entry space. And Mr. Speaker, this is what the front entry space currently looks like, Mr. Speaker. The new foyer area, and I am pleased to announce, I saw a video talking about folks not occupying the space. Patients have now been moved and are being moved from other sites back into the RAD. Mr. Speaker, we've also completed the renovation and restoration of existing operating theaters. The renovation and restoration of the inpatient ICU medical and surgical bed space in the medical and surgical critical care block. The completion of a chapel is now on site for spiritual healing at the RAN, and the completion of an upgraded commercial kitchen cafeteria facility with a very large dining area.
He notes that a healing garden will also be completed in a matter of weeks.
We went ahead, Mr. Speaker, with the construction of a new 40-feet container-sized modular operating theater, pre-op and procedure room incorporated into the footprint of the RAN Memorial Hospital to meet the current service needs while awaiting the construction of a new replacement facility. And, Mr. Speaker, there's the construction of a new, fully commissioned 2,800 square feet infectious disease unit with 7 isolation spaces which are to be used in response to the existing COVID-19 pandemic.
The Minister of Health adding that the plan is to maximize on-site redevelopment services that will address health concerns on Grand Bahama for the next 15 to 20 years.
We have demolished the administration and obstetrics and maternity wings at the RAN, and shortly, Mr. Speaker, there will be upgrades to the existing morgue area with an extension of the corridor to link to the accident and emergency services. Mr. Speaker, given this level of investment on the existing hospital site, honorable members and the general public are advised that there will be a structured redevelopment program of the RAN Memorial Hospital infrastructure.
And as it relates to the new 4-story tower, Minister Wells says that construction is expected to begin very soon.
The new tower will have a minimum of a 5-feet foundation height above grade. This will ensure, Mr. Speaker, non-flooding of the facility during the worst of hurricanes. This new tower would provide the opportunity for all services to be available in one facility in Grand Bahama at one point in time.
Megan Shepard, 7S Network News.
Grand Bahama seeing a spike in COVID-19 cases in the latest health dashboard. The island recording 13 new cases in a 24-hour period. 37 cases reported in New Providence, 2 cases in Abaco, and 1 in Eleuthera. That's a total of 53 cases across the country. 15 of those cases from Grand Bahama and Eleuthera have a history of travel within 14 days. There are 38 hospitalizations, 3 are in Grand Bahama. 22 recoveries were reported. The country's COVID-19 death toll climbing to 241. A 56-year-old male of New Providence died on June 10th, 2021. Grand Bahama's tourism product expected to receive a major boost tomorrow. For the first time in history, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines is home porting in the Bahamas. Now, this is welcome news for Grand Bahama, as for the next 4 months, RCL will visit the island every Friday. United Tourism official says he is optimistic about the inaugural voyage, and it is hoped that those within the tourism industry will benefit. Italia Hall has more.
The Adventures of the Seas cruise ship will make its inaugural voyage to Grand Bahama on Friday. A little over 1,000 passengers are expected on board. Our ZNS News team caught up with Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Tourism and Aviation, Reginald Saunders, on Thursday, who is preparing for the ship's arrival, as a ceremony is planned shortly after.
We're looking forward to it. We have been looking forward to this for years, particularly since COVID, since March of 2020. And tomorrow we have a huge celebration similar to that in Nassau last Saturday. The Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister, will be here, along with Minister of Tourism and Aviation, Minister Diagala, along with tourism staff, officials, and also Royal Caribbean officials.
He is calling this a major boost for Grand Bahama's tourism product.
And for the Bahamas in total and in general. And I think that Freeport should see the same benefits that we have seen in Nassau and the other islands where the cruise ship has been visiting.
And he is encouraging those within the tourism sector to take advantage of this opportunity.
All of the taxi drivers in Nassau for the initial launch of the cruise were excited. They worked directly with Royal Caribbean to make sure that they got involved in transporting passengers. I see no different here in Grand Bahama. I think this is an excellent opportunity for the taxi drivers in Grand Bahama, and also for the straw vendors and anybody who is connected to this. You know, I can't begin to express the excitement that I have that this cruise line is going to be stopping here and home porting in the Bahamas. This is a unique situation for the Bahamas, and you know, the leadership team at Ministry of Tourism that put this all together, you know, I am so happy that they have been able to see this to the final conclusion.
Now the cruise ship is expected to arrive in Grand Bahama at 7 a.m. At 8 a.m., passengers will be transported from the harbor, and they will go on to take part in various tours. The tour will end at the Garden of the Groves. Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Now, the ship's visit to Grand Bahama is seen as a positive opportunity for those within the tourism sector. In this report, 2 officials from the transport industry are sharing their views about what they are expecting from the ship's arrival. Here is our Italia Hall.
Those within the transport industry say they are looking forward to Royal Caribbean's visit to Grand Bahama this week. Owner of H. Forbes Charter, Hadley Forbes, says his tour buses have not moved since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. But come tomorrow, his company is set to take some 300 passengers on sightseeing tours.
Up in Smith Point and the surrounding area where we do tours. And Port Lacaya shopping place so that people can wine and dine there. There is no more bubble. It's free flow. The guests are free to go wherever they want to go, at home they want to go. There's no more bubble. Don't have to worry about that anymore.
He says his 60 employees are excited.
We had a meeting yesterday, and every last one of them was here and happy to go back to work tomorrow. I explained to them that it's going to be very slow to start off with. But why is it slow? I want each and every one of them to go and get the shot. Once you get the shot, you will be free and clear to enjoy your life like you always used to.
Ricardo Richardson, a taxi driver for some 40 years, says he is anticipating the ship's arrival, and it is his hope that taxi drivers receive a fair share of the pie.
We need it very, very bad. We need business here, especially. I'll be happy to know that the people would be going into the Port Lucaya marketplace because that place is deserted. We need to get things moving here on the island of Grand Bahama. You know, the beach will basically take care of itself. But we really need some people to come here for their shopping and stuff like that. It's been a long time since the store windows them and all that has anything to do, and they're hurting bad, just like the taxi drivers.
Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Thank you, Tally. Switching gears now, Equinor, South Riding Point, hosting a meeting with environmentalists this past Monday, giving concerned organizations an update on the cleanup of oil from the forest surrounding the company. Tonight, the chairman of Save the Bays and director of Waterkeepers telling our Megan Shepard that he is generally pleased with the cleanup effort thus far.
Chairman of Save the Bays and Director of Waterkeepers, Joe Darville, says that he has been monitoring the cleanup efforts in the acres of land surrounding Equinor since the oil spill occurred during Hurricane Dorian in 2019. Darville says he is pleased that the company meets regularly with concerned environmentalists. He notes that during the most recent meeting, the technical team responsible for drilling some 24 to 27 wells throughout the forest gave this update.
They gave an update on what they found, and actually to date they have not found any petroleum and oil penetrating into the water table, which was our significant concern from the very beginning, whether or not the oil would actually go to that depth of about 3 feet, which is the level of the freshwater table ends on Grand Bahama generally. Up to date, they haven't found any such.
He adds that members of Waterkeepers have also been conducting their own tests on the affected wetlands.
The wetlands sort of immediately after the spillage, the wetlands actually were semi-dry, but there was sufficient water in there that we could obtain samples of the water itself from the wetlands where there are fish, mangroves and fish. And we found petroleum residue in the water from the wetlands. We discussed that with them initially, and they said that they were aware of that, even though at one point they wanted to deny that the wetlands were impacted. And of course, we told them that was not the case. The wetlands, we had proof that the wetland contained a significant amount of oil, and we saw the oil sheen there from which we collected samples. And when I discussed that with them originally, they said that they would not want to make intrusion into the wetlands because that would create more damage than what the oil would probably do. And I accepted that.
To this end, he says the only thing to do at this point is to leave the area alone and allow Mother Nature to process the wetlands. He adds that the recent heavy and consistent rainfall has also posed another challenge.
The vegetation is coming back very dramatically. So that in itself will kind of cover some of the residue of oil on the ground. And so again, that will be even more tedious for the workers to go in there to lift up those plants gently and to clean it inch by inch as they have been doing.
Darville says that based on his observations, he believes it will take a great deal of time to have the area carefully, diligently, and meticulously cleaned.
Based upon what they've done so far and what needs to be done, I would say they have another year or so, a year and probably 3 months or more before that forest is completely cleaned up, based upon the initial manner in which it was indicated to them how it should be cleaned up. There are no chemicals of dissolving of the oil, no chemicals are being used, and so everything has to be taken up leaf by leaf, limb by limb, frond by frond from the palm trees, and put it into things and taken to wherever they're disposing of that material.
Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Now, Equinor releasing a statement on the issue. It says, consistent with immediate action taken after Hurricane Dorian, the company has spared no resources to efficiently tackle the unfortunate oil spill. It adds that Equinor remains committed to the protection of the environment and that the company welcomes the concerns of stakeholders and will continue to offer periodic updates. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.